Hey guys, welcome back to Team Death Slinger. My name is Peter, and today we're going to be looking at BT21 Megidramon, a little bit of a different focus than the BT5 ChaosGallantmon centered profile we did on Monday. So without further ado, 4 copies of promo Digimon is going to be our egg of choice. On deletion, return a card with Growlmon or Gallantmon in its name from your trash to the hand. It's kind of going to fix our hand. It's going to make sure we don't brick. We are trying to rebuild stacks after we self-delete our stacks, and this is going to be a way to put pieces back in our hand and make sure we have what we need. Moving on to rookies, 4 copies of BT21 Guilmon on play by trashing a card with Guilmon, Growlmon, Gallantmon, or Megidramon in its name, or the hero trait from your hand, draw 2, and then on deletion, gain a memory as the inherit. Guilmon plays really great. It builds the trash for us, draws us 2 cards. We can basically trash any Digimon in this deck, and it'll count. And the on deletion inheritable, needlessly to say, is going to be kind of amazing. We're doing self-deletion shenanigans. We do have a way to gain lots and lots and lots of memory, more than you think we're going to gain by deleting our stack, so that's going to synergize perfectly with that plan. We do have 2 copies of EX3 Guilmon on deletion. Delete one of your opponent's Digimon 3k DP or less. If no Digimon was deleted by this effect, trash both players trash the top 2 cards of their deck. We do basically have a choice between running this and running the EX3 Guilmon. We can't run BT5 because of some of my level 4 choices, and I thought that this was a little bit more effective at accelerating our game plan. It's going to put pieces in the trash and make Crimson Mode Ace a more effective threat a little bit quicker if we do have to swing it in and get the on deletion trigger. We are lastly going to run 4 copies of EX8 Guilmon X Antibody on play when Digivolve and reveal top 3. Add a card with Growlmon or Gallantmon in its name and an X Antibody among them to the hand. The rest go bottom. We are not running the X Antibody, but this is a fantastic searcher to find our Growlmon or Gallantmon pieces. The inheritable says when any of your opponent's Digimon are deleted, gain a memory. Really great for some of the pieces in this deck. BT21 Megidramon doesn't really work with this because we're going to be deleting our own stack. We can't gain memory back off of this inheritable if our stack is deleted. But great with some of our other pieces. Moving on to level 4s, 4 copies of BT21 Growlmon on play, and when Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon 4k or less. If this did not delete, trash top 2 cards of your deck only. Keep in mind that we are going to be milling ourselves more than the opponent, more than likely, and deleting a Digimon 4k or less is pretty good. Delete some of the smaller level 4s on the board and all level 3s. On deletion, we can gain a memory. It synergizes with the BT21 Guilmon and the whole plan of BT21 Megidramon of deleting itself. Good way to accelerate our game plan and have the memory to build back stacks. We are also going to run 4 copies of BT19 Growlmon. When Digivolving, if you have 1 or fewer Tamers, you may play 1 Takato Matsuki from your hand without paying the cost. This is why we're not running BT5 Guilmon. I want to make sure that no matter what, we have a way to swing when we get into BT21 WarGrowlmon, and that means that we're going to want to get our memory setter Takato down or the EX2 Takato that gives us Blitz. So this is kind of insurance. It's going to make sure that we can do that so that our game plan is always, always, always online. The inheritable is also pretty good in this deck. All turns when you have 0 or less memory, add 2k to this Digimon's DP deletion effect maximum. That has use with not BT21 Megidramon and the pieces we put around BT21 Megidramon. So that is what that is for. We do lastly have 2 copies of EX8 Growlmon X. When Digivolving, draw 1, trash 1. If Growlmon or X antibodies in this Digimon sources until the end of your opponent's turn, it gains on deletion. You may play a card with Guilmon in its name from your trash without paying the cost. Awesome effect. The inherit's the same as Guilmon X. Something really nice about this is if we can get from Growlmon X into Megidramon at the same turn, we're going to be able to float into an extra body, basically. And we're hopefully going to be able to do that because we're running lots of the Takatos that give us Blitz-like effects. So evoing, having a Growlmon in the back, evoing into this, and then evoing into the Growlmon that swing with the Blitz, and then you go into Megidramon. Pretty feasible. You can get 2 bodies back off your Megidramon stack after wiping the board, and you're just suddenly in a position that's really, really dominant. Moving on to level 5s, 4 copies of BT21 WarGrowlmon on play when Digivolving, trash the top 2 cards of your deck. Then this Digimon gains raid and retell until your opponent's turn ends. That alone is also just already fantastic. Raid retell means you're basically trading into any stack that you want to. If you have Guilmon and Growlmon underneath this, you're going to gain 2 memory back off that play. And then when attacking once per turn, this Digimon may Digivolve into a card with Megidramon or ChaosGallantmon in its name in the hand. For every 10 cards in both players' trashes, reduce the cost by 1. And then the inheritable says on deletion, trash your opponent's top security card. You're going to find a lot of the time this feels really, really good when you start paying 1 or 2 memory for your level 6. Early on, you're kind of emphasizing that raid retell effect. This is just a fantastic level 5 for the deck, and there's some shenanigans we can do with that. We are going to run 1 copy of the WarGrowlmon Ace. You're going to have to hear me out on this because I know it seems really counterintuitive to be running an Ace level 5 in a deck where you're deleting your own stack. The on play when Digivolving is pretty good. Delete up to 3k total worth of your opponent's Digimon. For each of your opponent's Digimon, add 2k to the maximum, and then for everything it deletes, you gain a memory. That's great. Inheritable says add 3k to this Digimon's DP. base deletion threshold. That's also really good. But what we care about here is that this is a 5 cost to play. The BT21 Megidramon says that you play back a 3 cost Digimon with Growlmon or Guilmon in name, and for every 10 cards in both players' trash, you add 2 to that number. This card is kind of a high roll tempo card. If you have 10 cards in trash, you can play back this as a level 5, which is just kind of really funny. And then you have tempo to get back into a level 6 and do some more shenanigans if you need to. So I like this at 1. You will hardly ever see it under your Megidramon stack unless you're having a really bad day. And even then, we have the potential to mitigate the memory loss because we have this wonderful tool right here that I love so much in this deck. I don't know if it's the best option in the slot, but I think it's really funny. BT9 WarGrowlmon X digivolves for 0 on WarGrowlmon and just 3 on the level 4, so that works out perfectly. When digivolving until the end of your opponent's turn, 2 of their Digimon gain on deletion, lose 1 memory. Then if WarGrowlmon's in their sources, you can choose any of your opponent's Digimon whose DP adds up to 6k or less and delete them. What we care about is that on deletion, lose 1 memory until the end of the opponent's turn. We already had a way to gain 2 memory off of Guilmon and Growlmon in the stack. This means we can potentially, as long as the opponent has 2 Digimon on board, we can potentially gain 4 memory off of popping our own stack. Even if they have 1 Digimon on board, we can now gain 3 memory. That kind of completely mitigates the overflow cost on this. If we had to do it, we could go into this, then WarGrowlmon X, and then Megidramon. We're not paying any overflow all of a sudden. But if we don't have the overflow, we're looking at 4, possibly 5 memory back on the play if we have an analog youth in play, which is kind of disgusting. So this opens up a lot of avenue for rebuilding our stack really quickly and almost trading up in the sense that the opponent could lose multiple bodies on the board, and then we wind up popping our Megidramon stack. We potentially go, if we have the Growlmon X effect live, we get a Guilmon, we get another Guilmon, Growlmon, WarGrowlmon, something back from the Megidramon, and then we've also netted possibly 3 to 5 memory off the play. Really good, really disgusting, and a way to keep a lot of momentum in the game. Moving on to the level 6s, the aforementioned BT21 Megidramon, security +1, end of attack, delete all Digimon. That includes this Digimon. On deletion, you may play 1 play cost 3 or lower Digimon card with Guilmon or Growlmon in its name from your trash without paying the cost. For every 10 cards in both players' trash, add 2 to this effect's play cost maximum. So with 10 cards in trash, we can play that WarGrowlmon Ace. Otherwise, we are playing something smaller until there's lots and lots of cards in trash, and you're probably in range to win the game with Crimson Mode Ace. Also, we are, if you can't tell by the 4 copies of Megidramon Ace, we're full indexing into the self-deletion. We want to be blowing everything up every time we build a stack and trying to make sure that we are always the one with resources sitting on the board while the opponent does not have any. We are going to run 2 copies of the EX2 Megidramon. This Digimon is treated as ChaosGallantmon. When digivolving, you delete something at 10k or less. If nothing is deleted, you trash top 5 cards of both players' decks. The nice thing about this is we do have those inheritables that bump up the DP threshold. So if the opponent has nothing on board, they get punished by milling 5 cards. That accelerates our game plan for the Crimson Mode Ace. If they do have something on board, it's very likely we'll be able to delete it. If we have the Growlmon in the stack or the WarGrowlmon Ace in the stack, we can delete possibly 12 to 13k off of that. The on deletion will place a Guilmon and a Takato from hand or trash without paying the cost, just floats back bodies. That is perfectly serviceable. You might be wondering why no Megidramon Ace in this deck. That's because since Megidramon Ace tucks itself underneath the Guilmon before leaving the battle area, we don't actually get any on deletion effects that are underneath Megidramon Ace. They never trigger because the Digimon is never considered deleted because it never hits the trash. So running Megidramon Ace is kind of a big risk. You potentially lose out on a lot of inheritables underneath your stack, and that can feel really bad. So we are opting for the EX2 Megidramon instead. There was also the option of the BT5 Megidramon. The only thing I don't like about that is that it does not have Gallantmon in name, which means some cards don't work especially well with it. It's also purple, and we're going to be running the red training, so we kind of have the option to whiff that there. I think EX2 Megidramon is the best fit as the partner in this deck. We are going to run 1 copy of EX4 ChaosGallantmon, trash end of your turn by deleting 1 of your Digimon with Digivolution cards and Gallantmon in its name. You may play this card without paying the cost. On play, delete 1 of your opponent's Digimon 7k or less. For every 10 cards in both players' trashes, add 2k to the maximum this DP base deletion effect can delete. This card is really live at about 20 cards in trash when you can delete an 11k or lower body, but most of the time you're going to use this as a catalyst to pop your EX2 Megidramon. It doesn't really have a way to delete itself, so you would want to Evo into this. You get its effect, you either pop a body or both players mill 5, and then you would be sacking this off to the EX4 ChaosGallantmon to get all your on deletion inheritables, gain a bunch of memory back, trash the security, and then you float back a Guilmon Takato. You just get a lot of momentum off of the play, and then you have a ChaosGallantmon on the board that is potentially threatening to ace into the Crimson Mode on the opponent's turn if they swing in, or potentially has blocker depending on what Takato's on board. Just has a lot of use. We don't need really any more than 1 copy in this deck because it only really functions to pop the EX2 Megidramon. Also, once we mill 5 with the Megidramon, there's going to be 10 in trash, so this is already at that 9k deletion threshold. So, not bad. 1 copy of the promo Gallantmon. I still think this card's great in this version of the deck as well. When this would be played, if there's a Digimon with 13k or more DP, reduce the play cost by 2 for every 5 cards total in both players' trashes. Most of the time you're going to be playing this for really, really cheap. It has Rush Blocker, on play, and when Digivolving, delete one Digimon with 13k or more. If it doesn't delete, recover one. I feel like if there's ever a body with 13k or more, you're probably plopping this down, which means on deletion, or sorry, when Digivolving, you're probably evoing if there's not a 13k or more body, so you're usually going to recover when you evo into this. Just a solid card all around. 2 copies of the Crimson Mode Ace, that is our game ender. On play when Digivolving, delete up to 15k DP total worth of your opponent's Digimon. That can get up to a staggering 20k if you have the Growlmon and WarGrowlmon underneath the stack. And then when attacking, for every 10 cards total in both players' trashes, trash the top card of your opponent's security. I've said it like 3 times, but this is our game ender. We're going to build lots of trash and then try and swing in with this to finish off the game. For our options, 2 copies of the Digimon I designed. Main, draw 1, the trash 1, place this in the battle area. The delay effect says when effects delete Digimon, one of your Digimon with Guilmon or Growlmon in its name may Digivolve into a card with Growlmon, Gallantmon, or Megidramon in the name in the trash, not pay the cost. Fantastic. When our Megidramon self-destructs and you float back a Guilmon, Growlmon, WarGrowlmon, whatever it is, you can then pop this delay to evo up 1 stage. So that's going to be really fantastic. The security effect also says gain 1 memory, then place this card in the battle area. Just a really great effect to trigger from security. You can potentially steal turn with it. We're going to run 3 copies of Offense Training. Hits everything in the deck except for the Digimon I designed and Analog Youth, but it was kind of the most consistent color-wise, so that's why we're running it. Tamer spread seems a little weird. I'll explain myself. We have 1 copy of the Takato Matsuki from BT21. If the opponent has a Digimon gain a memory, I really like that memory gain effect, and this blocker effect all turns when any of your Digimon are played or Digivolve. You can suspend this until your opponent's turn ends. One of your Digimon with Guilmon, Growlmon, Gallantmon, or Megidramon in name gets blocker, and if there's 10 or more cards in trash, gets 2k DP. Sometimes the blocker comes up. I feel like that's less relevant than gaining a memory, but I do want the copy for when it comes up. We're also running 2 copies of the EX2 Takato. I know I'm skipping around, but when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, you suspend this to gain memory. Everything should always be getting deleted, so this should always be a constant source of memory. What I care about more here is when something Digivolves into a card with Gallantmon or Growlmon in name, that Digimon gains when Digivolving Blitz. I really, like I said, I want to make sure that BT21 WarGrowlmon can swing when we evo into it. That is kind of the key to unlocking this card's this deck's effectiveness and ability to apply a lot of pressure. So we're doubling up on that Blitz effect with 2 of the EX2 Takatos and 2 of the BT19 Takatos. When you have 2 or less memory, set it to 3. Fantastic. We love memory setters. And when any of your Digimon Digivolve into a card with Growlmon or Gallantmon in its name, you suspend this Tamer to give it raid, and then it gets to attack. So we have 2 ways to let our BT21 WarGrowlmon come in for the swing and then evo into the Megidramon. Lastly, 3 copies of Analog Youth. Reveal top 3, take a Digimon, the rest go trash. And when something level 5 or higher is deleted, if it has sources, you suspend this Tamer, you gain a memory, hatch an egg. That's synergizing really well with the BT21 Megidramon. We can gain 2 memory off the Guilmon, the Growlmon, potentially 2 memory off of the WarGrowlmon X, and then for every Analog Youth you have, you can get another memory. So if you really want to count your high roll ducks and you have every single Analog Youth in play, you can potentially gain 7 memory off of losing your Megidramon Ace, and you can net a free evo off the Digimon I designed. So that is pretty silly. Oh, I guess, and you have the Takatos too, so just the Analog Youths plus Takatos is 9 memory. So if you need any more reason to do silly shenanigans than that, I don't know what it would be. Getting 9 memory off 1 play, disgusting. So that is what we are doing with Megidramon and BT21. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you playing this deck or are you playing ChaosGallantmon? Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.
Thank you to our channel members for supporting this channel. It's people like Langlong, Big Z11, Coffee Deus, and DigiDane who make videos like this possible.